Hey everybody, this is my Specialized Tarmac SL6. I'm going to be showing you around the bicycle today. So this Tarmac SL6 is completely carbon, comes with a carbon fork. It also comes with through axles. So those are threaded axles compared to a quick release, and then is a threaded bottom bracket as well. The nice thing about the fact that those are threaded means that it's going to be a lot more stable. There's not going to be as much creaking, and then there's not going to be as much flex from side to side. All the power that you put into the pedals is going to go right into the gears and right onto the road. Next, we're going to be going through the bicycle's cockpit. So basically that is the handlebars, the stem, the seat post. Those are all through Specialized components. Even the bar tape is made by Specialized. Typically that's how a frame manufacturer gets the bike to be a little bit cheaper, is by making their own components and throwing it on there. Now it does come with carbon spacers as well. And then the seat post on here is also carbon. Now the drivetrain and all the brakes on this are Shimano Tiagra. So these are hydraulic disc brakes that come with it. So instead of a cable, it's actually fluid that runs through here down to the brake calipers. And then you have your fluid chamber up here as well. It does make the height of this shifter a little bit higher. It's kind of nice because you can grab it up a little bit higher than typical just mechanical brake shifters, but it does also make it a little bit more awkward when you have your hands in the hood as well. So this comes with a 2x10. So basically what that means is there are two gears up here, two chain rings, and then there is a cassette back here. So it has a 50 tooth big ring and then a 34 tooth little ring. And then in the back, it has a 11x32. Now, most other bicycle manufacturers will try and cut corners a little bit here in the drivetrain and make things as cheap as possible. Specialized doesn't necessarily do that. A lot of places they try and cut corners are specifically in the chain, the cassette, and even the crankset. Most other manufacturers will put, like an FSA crank on there. Not that it's not as nice of a component, but it is a lot more visually stunning to have the whole group set. You have this kind of off gray on both the crankset and on both the derailleurs as well. So they don't cut any corners, and they put the entire drivetrain right on the bike, even with the shifters all the way through. So we have the Axis Sport rim up front and on rear, and then both front and rear it comes with a Specialized Turbo Pro. This is a 700C tire, 26 millimeter width. I will say with these Turbo Pro tires, they are extremely supple. They are a very soft and smooth ride, especially paired with a rim as wide as this Axis Sport is. With the wider tire, a wider rim, it kind of widens that tire even a little bit more, making it even more supple, even more smooth. Then of course you have your front and rear disc brakes up here as well. Like I said, all hydraulic. And then fairly large disc brake up front too. When disc brakes kind of came out on road bikes, they were running 140s. They've since then switched to 160s just because it doesn't really save you a lot of weight being 140s to compromise. It doesn't make sense compromising the stopping power that you get out of a 160 for the weight of a 140. Now, one of the best things about this bike for the money is that you get the extremely nice carbon frame with it. Like I said, it's their SL6 frame, which is one of their newest models. Now you do get still a nice drivetrain. They've trickled down all of their technology from the Dura-Ace. Tiagra used to have a 5-spline chainring, and since they've come out with the 4, they started to trickle that down into Ultegra, and then into 105 and now Tiagra. So as the nice things get better, so do their entry-level components. But one nice thing about this is you can always upgrade the entry-level components into something nicer. I always think it's smart to get the best frame that you can with lower components and then upgrade as need be. So one of the great things about this bike is it's not as proprietary as the Tarmac SL7. So you don't have the integrated aero seat post. It's very not specific to what seat post you want to put in there. So you do have to get the exact size, but it's not the same proprietary specialized seat post that you have to put in there every time. Same with the handlebars. It's not the aero handlebars. If you ever did want to put on aero bars, say you're doing triathlon training, you can always clamp those down onto these bars as well. So one interesting thing about the Tarmac is Specialized used to have a bicycle that was specifically their aero bike called the Specialized Venge. The Tarmac has recently replaced that as their aero bike because Specialized owns its own aero lab in its factory. And what they have found is you don't necessarily need the bike to look extremely aerodynamic to be extremely aerodynamic. So a few features that they've kind of played with is the fork design. It doesn't need to be super sliced like a knife to cut through that wind. Having something a little bit more rigid is a little bit better. On top of that, the design right here. A lot of bicycle manufacturers thought that you needed to have this seat stays connect to the top tube here on the seat post. But what Specialized figured out is it's actually more aerodynamic to have these seat stays quite a bit lower than that top tube. So even though it is an entry-level bike, you are still getting some of the best quality aerodynamics that you can out of this. So this Specialized Tarmac SL6 model comes priced at $2,700. And we just weighed it with stock components as is straight out of the box. We did take off the reflectors and the chain guard or the cassette guard right there. And it comes in weighing at 19.2 pounds. So I would recommend this bike for a handful of people. Definitely for somebody who's looking to just get into racing. They're not sure that they're gonna absolutely love road racing or crit racing. Buy the nice carbon bike with the lowest components, because the nice thing is you can always upgrade those. You know, you can do it for a triathlete. If you don't want to ride your triathlon bike every second of every day, this would be a great bike for you. There are two things that I would recommend upgrading on this bike. You don't necessarily have to do them in this order, but I would recommend doing the wheel sets, getting a nice light aerodynamic carbon wheel set on there. The second thing that I would recommend is the group set. Now it will get a little bit tricky on depending on how much you really want to pay to upgrade this bike, because if you do want to do a full overhaul of Ultegra or Durace or even 105, you do have to keep in mind that some of the most expensive parts of the drivetrain are shifters and brakes when it comes to hydraulic fluid. So what you can always do is keep the Tiagra shifters and brakes, but upgrade to 105 here, 105 on your derailleurs. So the Tarmac SL6 is a great bang for its buck. It is highly upgradable. You still get a nice quality carbon frame for the money. And if you're not looking to spend $4 or $5 grand, then you could hop into this bike.